actually gender biased, because as we get to the meat of this topic and this subject and this sermon, not only do we encourage our children to stay in these kinds of relationships, no matter what, we especially encourage our daughters to stay. We encourage our daughters to stay. The pressure is put on the woman to make the relationship work. It's actually put pressure on the woman to make the relationship work. We encourage her to fight for her marriage and to please her husband. We encourage her because that's what a woman does. We encourage our daughters to stay in a relationship where they're not loved, and we encourage our daughters to hang in there even though they might get abused, and we encourage our women, don't give up on someone who doesn't love you. Love is going to come later, and we encourage her to marry because her clock is ticking, and we encourage our daughters to marry because we thought she couldn't find anyone better. And girl, as long as he ain't hitting you every night, stay with him. Love's gonna come later. And girl, as long as he's a good provider, he'll leave you something when he passes away. Stay with him. Love's gonna come later. So what if he cheats? Every man cheats. He still comes home to you. He'll grow out of it. Love's gonna come later. So what if he hits you one time? Girl, you're gonna be all right. Just stay with it. Love's gonna come later. Go on and marry him, because if you don't, somebody else will, and you let a good man go, love's gonna come later. We encourage our daughters to remain in relationships even though there was no love in the beginning, and there will never be love at all. And so our daughters marry men that they don't love. They have children from men who don't love them. They sleep in separate beds under the same roof of men who don't love them. They live separate lives in the same house of men who don't love them. She has to go and fight for her husband and drag him out of some other woman's bed. She's embarrassed because everyone knows where her man is and where he is not. She holds her head down around the other women because they laugh at her behind her back and in her face. She's embarrassed to leave the house because she has been beaten and battered. She regrets that she ever married this man in the first place, but now she has nowhere to go. She feels that now she's in too deep and can't go anywhere else. She runs to mama, but mama says hang in there. She runs home to daddy. Daddy has her sent back to her husband, and the world is telling her that she has to stick it out and make it work, and she has to live with the pain that all this could have been prevented if she just been obedient to God's Spirit and done as God had told her to do. But now she's married someone out of desperation who didn't love her at all, and so our daughters are placed on their shoulders the weight of being the moral conscience in the relationship, because we've told them that they have to stick it out and make it work. So she feels that she has to make him love her. And she finds herself doing things to please someone who will never love her like she wants to be loved. And even though this sounds like some example out of the dark ages, I'm talking about 2010, where we still have young women who are still in relationships that they shouldn't be in, trying to make it work. Young girls who have babies trying to keep some man. Young girls fighting in the streets over a boy who sits back and laughs at both of them. Young girls who think that love is when he strikes you. Young girls who feel that if he don't fuss with you, he don't love you. Young girls who still feel that you do what he wants you to do if you want to keep him. Young girls who who degrade themselves for a boy who doesn't care anything about him. Young girls who still marry men they don't know because they don't want to die by themselves. Young women who still look for love in all of the wrong places, all because they never knew what it meant to be in a relationship. And all this was because what they learned from us, was totally wrong. What advice can we give to them? The text takes us to the story of Leah, who for the most part is a co-star, yet a minor character in the relationship of Jacob. She is the oldest sister of Rachel, and she's given birth to a majority of Jacob's sons, yet is not loved or respected by him. And what is sad, saints of God, is the Bible makes certain to mention not once but twice, but all throughout this story, that Jacob loved Rachel and Leah was unloved. He loved Rachel, but Leah was unloved. Now, think about the fact, saints of God. While it may take a total of 15 minutes to read several chapters of the story of Leah and Rachel, for Leah, this was not just a chapter, this was every day. Going through every day of her life, realizing that the man who she married and had kids from did not love her at all. For all the years of her marriage to Jacob, she had to hear how much he loved her sister, but even more so is the fact that not only did she not know, but everyone else knew, because now it's recorded by Moses several hundred years later after their death, because everyone knew that Jacob did not love her. It was public knowledge, apparently then, that she was unloved by a man that she was married to and had kids with. And when you study this text, saints of God, and you study her story, you discover that much of her life has been surrounded by the fact that it seemed that she perhaps has always been unloved. Her name Leah means doe-eyed, which indicates that she had problems with her eye shape, making her unattractive. According to the custom of that time, the older sister had to be married prior to her younger sister, and in this case, she's given in marriage by deception to a man who laid with her, yet when he discovered who she was angry and called it a sham. She's married to a man who never loved her and considers their marriage to be an accident, yet and still she births his children, but does so in an attempt to gain his affection and his attention. Perhaps she's been told all her life that she would not be married. Perhaps she's been told all her life she would always not be pretty. Perhaps she was told all her life she would never compare to her sister. Perhaps she was told to even be married, you have to trick somebody into marrying you, and so she stays in a relationship where she knows the man don't love her. She stays in a relationship where she knows this man does not love her. And so now, saints of God, we see the problem. In competition with her sister, in competing for her husband's affection and attention, she does all she can do to make the relationship work. But in all that she does, all she wants is to be loved, and she's convinced that having his sons will make him love her, never realizing that she was in a relationship that she would forever be unloved. And on today's, saints of God, as we look at this text, our question is not just for Leah, but what can we tell Leah about this relationship? What advice can we give to Leah about her struggles? What then can we tell our daughters? What can we tell our sisters? What can we tell our women? What advice can we give to them about their relationship? And from studying this text, saints of God, and the life of Leah, we have gained three things that we ought to tell all of our daughters and share with them today. First of all, they have to know this: you can't make it work by yourself. You can't make this thing work by yourself. As you read this text, saints of God, we see that the entire time Leah was trying to make the relationship work. Leah had the children. Leah had the sons. Leah made the efforts. Leah made the sacrifices. Leah had the guilt. Leah felt the struggle. Leah was praying hard. But while she was trying to make this thing work, Jacob was doing nothing.